Tammy and the Bachelor. Tammy and the Bachelor is a 1957 romantic comedy film directed by Joseph Pevney and starring Debbie Reynolds as Tambrey Tyree, Walter Brennan as Grandpa Dinwitty, and Leslie Nielsen as Peter Brent. It is the first of the 4 Tammy films. It was adapted from the 1948 novel Tammy Out of Time by Cid Ricketts Sumner. Plot: Tambrey Tyree Debbie Reynolds is a 17-year-old girl living in a houseboat on the Mississippi River within sight of Louisiana with her grandpa, John Dinwitty Walter Brennan. She runs around barefoot, dreaming of life outside of the swamp, and talking to her best friend, Nan, a goat. One day, a small airplane crashes in the swamp. Tammy and her grandfather go to see what they can salvage from the wreck and find the unconscious pilot, Peter Brent Leslie Nielsen. Tammy and her grandfather help Peter recover at their home, during which time Tammy falls in love with Peter. However, he must return to his own home, but he tells the grandfather that if anything happened to the grandfather, Tammy would be welcome to come and stay with Peter at his spacious house. Several weeks later, Tammy's grandfather is arrested for making moonshine. With no one else to stay with, Tammy sets off for Brentwood Hall, Peter's home. She arrives during a dance rehearsal and sees Peter with his friends. When Peter's friend Ernie discovers Tammy outside of the party, Tammy tries to explain her grandfather's imprisonment. However, Peter misunderstands and tells Mrs. Brent Fay Ray that Tammy's grandfather has died, leading the Brents to take her in. Tammy learns that Peter is busy with Brentwood #6, an experimental tomato he is growing in hopes of making Brentwood Hall self-sustaining once again. After Tammy finally tells everyone that her grandfather isn't actually dead, Mrs. Brent is upset over Tammy announcing to everyone that she has a relative in jail. However, Peter and his and Renee convince Tammy to stay, leading her to sing of her love for Peter. Tammy. Barbara Bissell, Peter's fiancée, drops by Brentwood Hall. Her uncle wants Peter to stop experimenting with tomatoes and offers him a deal to come to work with him in the advertising business. Peter turns down the offer. That week is also Pilgrimage Week, which includes a ball and tours of Brentwood Hall, all while in costume. Renee gives Tammy the dress Peter's great-grandmother wore. Mrs. Brent and Renee suggest that Tammy pretend to be great-grandmother Cratchit for the evening. At the ball at night, Tammy tells a story for the guests and enchants everyone, even Mrs. Brent. That night, a hailstorm hits Brentwood Hall and destroys all of the Brentwood #6. The next morning, Peter announces that he is going to accept the advertising offer, leading Tammy to run away. As Peter realizes he loves Tammy, he finds Tammy's grandfather and returns to the houseboat, where he kisses her. Cast: Debbie Reynolds as Tambrey Tyree, Leslie Nielsen as Peter Brent, Walter Brennan as Grandpa John Dinwitty, Mala Powers as Barbara Bissell, Sidney Blackmer as Professor Brent, Mildred Natwick as Aunt Renee, Fay Ray as Mrs. Brent, Philip Ober as Alfred Bissell, Craig Hill as Ernie, Louise Beavers as Oja, the cook. Production: Leslie Nielsen was borrowed from MGM to play the male lead. Joseph Pevney directed under the first of a new 5-picture contract with Universal. Filming began in April 1956. Awards: Jay Livingston and Ray Evans were nominated for an Oscar for their song Tammy, sung over the film's main titles by the Ames brothers. Its naive sentimentality has proved an irresistible target for parody, most notably in Stan Freberg's Madison Ave Werewolf, When I Hold Your Sweet, Hairy Hands, Tight in Mine. Clammy. Reynolds placed second for a Golden Laurel for Top Female Comedy Performance. The film itself was awarded third place for a Golden Laurel for Top Comedy. Additionally, Reynolds's single version of the film's title song is heard later,